Hey everyone! So today I wanted to go over a very important subject when it comes to jobs, and that is your pay. What are you going to get paid if you join the Army? And so without any further ado, let's look at the paycheck. So the first thing I want to mention is that a lot of people talk about BAH and BAS because those are the dependent pays. And I want to mention that this is not my plug for anyone to get married. Don't get me wrong, marriage is awesome and I love being married to my wife. But BAH is not the reason to get married. It's better to get married. In fact, I would only get married if it's because you love the person and you want to be with them forever, for the rest of your life, and you never want to be apart. But all that aside, I do want to talk about the different kinds of pays you're going to get in the Army and all the kinds of things you'll see on your paycheck. And I don't want to talk about insurance, I don't want to talk about military discounts, your retirement. I'll talk about that later. I'm just going to talk about what kind of income you're going to see on your paycheck in bonuses and base pay. So the first thing you're going to see on your paycheck is your base pay. And that's just what everyone receives in the Army. That's, based on your rank and your time in the Army. And I've put this chart here, but as you can see, if you come in as an E1, you're looking at $1,600 a month, and that's just your base pay. E2 goes up to $1,800, E3, $1,900, and E4, where I am, at $2,100 a month. And it also increases. As you go up the ranks, it'll increase based on your time in the Army as well. I'm also gonna throw in here, if you're commissioned, you're gonna start at least $3,000 a month, and it goes up from there. And it also increases over time. And same thing if you're a warrant officer, you're gonna start at $3,000 a month and it just goes up from there. So that's your base pay. That's not the only thing you receive, but that is the one thing you are guaranteed to receive in the Army. Now the next two pays I wanna talk about are the dependent pays, or the married pay, I guess if you wanna look at it that way. These you will not receive if you are single with no dependents. Now, as I mentioned before, this is not a good reason to get married or have a child, but if you're already married or you already have a child or another dependent, then this is the Army's way of helping you out economically and also incentivizing you to join the Army and stay in the Army. And the first one I want to talk about is the BAH, the Basic Allowance for Housing. Now for this one I won't put a chart because this one depends on your zip code, and there's a lot of zip codes. This pay is designed to help you with the cost of living wherever you are. It literally is designed to cover your mortgage or your rent. And if you'd rather just live on base, they use it to pay for your house, which is what we did. So we don't actually receive BAH anymore because it goes towards this house that you've seen in the video. But if we did live off base, we would receive BAH according to Monterey's zip code, and we could use that to pay for rent or our house if we had a house towards our mortgage. Just to give you some numbers, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, you're looking at about $780 a month for BAH, but Rocklin, California is more like $1,900 a month in BAH. While Monterey is a good $2,300 a month in BAH, so it just keeps going up for us. I've heard of some people living with their parents or with other relatives for free and then just pocketing the BAH, and you can do that. You can just pocket whatever is left of the BAH after you pay rent. So let's say, for instance, you live in San Jose, California, and you have a $5,000 BAH. If you can find an apartment for like $2,000 or even a free apartment with your parents, you just pocket the extra $5,000, whatever the difference is. And by the way, the only income that is taxed out of everything I'm going to mention today is your base pay. So everything else is not taxable. That means that on paper, I only make my base pay. So I only make $2,100 times 12, about $25,000 a year is what I make on paper. And that's what I'm taxed at. But if you look at everything that I'm gonna go through today, I make well over double that. So, it's nice only being taxed at half of what I actually make. It's a good perk that the military gives us. Okay, the next one I wanna talk about is the BAS, which is the Basic Allowance for Sustenance, or your food. And this is a fixed amount. So if you're enlisted, you're gonna get about $370 a month. If you're commissioned, you'll get about $260 a month. And I'm not sure why there's a difference there, but there is a little bit of a difference there. But officers get paid more, so it is worth noting that while you're in training, if you get a meal card, like if you go eat for free at the DFAC, that's where your BAS is going. So you'll see it in your paycheck as BAS coming in, and then you'll see it as BAS going out for meal card. The next one I want to talk about is called the Army Clothing Allowance. And if you go through basic training, you're gonna get clothes given to you. And the first time you do that, they're gonna give you a receipt. And you look on the receipt and you're gonna see huge, outrageous prices for things. You know, it's gonna be like $2,000 in clothing. It is nice to get those for free because I'd hate to actually buy those, you know, myself the first time. That's probably why my wife calls me cheap though, because I hate spending money on clothes. But the Army realizes that you're gonna be using your clothes. You're gonna be doing basic training, you're gonna be low crawling. After that, you actually have your job. I mean, you wear your clothes every day, so they get worn. And so the Army gives you money every year to purchase new clothes, new uniforms, new boots, new socks, everything. Whatever you need, you can buy it. And I put this chart down here for you. It says basic and standard, which basically means if you're in the first 3 years of your time in the Army, you're basic, so you get a lower amount because all your stuff's still fairly new. However, after that 3rd year, you're in the standard bracket and you get more money towards clothes every year. The next bunch of stipends, I like to call the deployment stipends because they really don't apply unless you live somewhere else, if you're stationed outside the country or you're actually on a deployment. The first one I want to talk about, even though I said there are no more that have to do with dependents, involves dependents. And this one's called the Family Separation Allowance. This allowance is simply because you're away from your family. And so if you're on a deployment and your family can't go, you will get this allowance. It's $250 and it's just because you're not with your family. Just keep in mind that all of these allowances are stackable. It's like when you go to Target to buy milk. You know, you got your milk and it costs you $2, but then you have to get the Cheez-Its because you need Cheez-Its. And then you have to get the coloring book because, hey, you're stressed at work. Then you have to grab the puppy because it's there. And then you have to grab more paper. And then you have to grab the puppy's bed. And then you have to grab a chew toy. And pretty soon, you walk out of Target with a $125 bill. That's what these bonuses do. They add up slowly and make your paycheck a lot nicer. The next one is the cost of living allowance. And this one is designed to offset the cost of higher living outside of the lower 48 states. So let's say you go to Germany, and for some reason in Germany, socks are really expensive. Then the government is going to pay you, the military is going to pay you to make up the difference for, you know, the higher cost of socks in Germany. And that includes Hawaii and Alaska and any other country you go to. If it does cost more to live there, the government will offset that for you. And this is not talking about rent, this is talking about actual things you have to buy, like groceries, clothing, etc. I mean, you gotta feed that puppy somehow. Dog food gets expensive in Germany. The next one is called Hardship Pay. And this one is for if you ever live in a place that has low quality of life standards. So there's not running water, your house, like the houses aren't as nice, whatever the case may be, you know, outside the US. If the quality of life is lower, they're going to pay you to make up that difference. They're going to pay you for you living in a lower quality of life. And this kind of just depends on where you are, and there's not really an amount attached to this one. The next one sounds really cool, and that's the hostile/imminent danger pay. This pay, if your commanding officer determines that your life is in danger on a regular basis, you know, out of the ordinary, being in the military, then you'll get an extra $225 a month added to your check for being in danger. The next one I want to talk about is the assignment incentive pay. And this one is designed to give you an incentive to do unusual or extraordinary tasks or missions. Often this means that they want you to extend your tour of duty, and so they're going to try to incentivize you by paying you more for that. Now, normally this can be up to $1,000 a month. However, there are unusual circumstances, especially in combat zones, where this can get up to $3,000 a month in incentives to stay and do more unusual or extraordinary missions. The next one is different from hostile and imminent danger pay. It's called hazardous duty pay. And this one is for if your MOS is inherently dangerous, like if you work on the flight deck, or if you are the guy who detonates bombs, or you jump out of planes. Those kind of jobs, you can get up to $250 a month for having a hazardous job. The next 3 bonuses are things that aren't attached to deployment. They're just kind of etc., if you will. And the first one is the language proficiency bonus. And this one applies greatly if you are in intelligence, especially as a linguist or a human intelligence collector, 35 Mike, basically everyone at DLI. And this bonus is for knowing a foreign language, especially one that the Army needs right now. So in my case, I'm learning Pashto, and if I learn Pashto and pass the DLPT test and get DLPT certified in Pashto, I can get up to $500 a month extra for knowing Pashto. And then if I want to pass out of Spanish, I could also do Spanish and get up to $500 a month extra for knowing Spanish. Now, there are a few rules to this. It's only up to $1,000 a month. There is a roof. And you have to get, test up to $500, for the bonus. You don't just get $500 a month because you get a 111. You have to get a pretty good, I think you have to get a 333 to get the $500 bonus. So if you happen to know French or German or Spanish, we're not really at war with those countries right now. The Army doesn't really need those languages. And so I couldn't just go in and test out of Spanish or French or German right now, unless I was a Spanish, French, or German linguist, which we do have, or if I already took another language like Pashto, which the Army does need, or Arabic, or Russian, or Korean, or Chinese. If you know another language already that they do need, test out of it. Take the DLPT, get that extra bonus. The next bonus I got recently, and that is the Army Transportation Allowance. And this is for when you move. This is for when you PCS to a new location. And basically, every time you move, the Army wants to pay for it because they're the ones who are ordering you to move from here to here. And if you don't do it with the Army, as in you pay to do it yourself, basically they pay you the whole amount. They actually told me they would pay me the amount minus 5%. So 95% of what they would have paid to move me is what they ended up giving me. And I just get to keep that. So in my case, just to give you some numbers, we probably spent $400 to move from Rockland, California to Monterey, California. It's about 4 hours away. That was including truck and gas and everything. But the Army figured it would have cost them $1,600 to move us. If you include paying the movers, paying for the truck, paying for the gas, giving us a night in a hotel to stay somewhere, all of that together is what they would have charged and paid to move us. So they gave us a check for $1,500, and we got to just keep the difference, which is $1,100, which was really nice. I mean, granted, if we'd moved overseas or somewhere really far away, we might have preferred just to do it with the Army and say, yeah, take our stuff, we'll see you there. But in our case, it worked out a lot better for us just to do it ourselves and get the money. And the Army will also pay for things like mileage on your car. If you put a lot of miles in your car for a move, I don't know how many cents per mile it is, but they are gonna pay us something for the miles and something for the hotels we would have used and all the parts of the move. So when you do move and you wanna do it yourself, keep your receipts, keep everything. Make sure you weigh the truck when it's empty and when it's full so you can get the weight of your items that you moved. The Army is essentially paying you instead of paying a third party. They're paying you to move you, not someone else to move you. But I would make sure you talk to your transportation office before the move to make sure that you're all good to go, because I might have forgotten something, and if you are missing something from that packet, you won't get the money. So make sure you talk to the transportation office wherever you are before you do the move. The last kind of bonus is the one perhaps you're most familiar with if you're talking to a recruiter, and that is your enlistment bonus. Now, the enlistment bonus is given because the Army wants certain MOSs. Enlistment bonuses can also be given if they want you to ship out really fast. These kind of bonuses have a roof of $40,000, meaning if you get a $40,000 enlistment bonus, it doesn't matter how quick you ship out, they're not gonna give you the quick ship bonus. And that happened to me, and it kind of sucks, but hey, I'm fine with getting a $40,000 bonus. I don't care about the other 16 grand that was never mine to begin with. It was just kind of a gift that I never got. So it sucks, but be aware of that. If you're looking to make over 40 grand enlistment bonuses, it's probably not gonna happen. There's also re-enlistment bonuses. And this, of course, only comes up when you re-enlist, when you have your second contract or third contract or whatever number of contract you have. And these are bonuses designed to incentivize you to, again, be in certain fields. So if your field is something you're very skilled in and they don't have very many of those, and they really want you to stay in that field, you can get a really big enlistment bonus for staying in your field or for switching into one they want you to be in. One of the Navy recruiters I talked to said that he got a $100,000 re-enlistment bonus twice. The one thing to note is you don't get the whole thing at once with any of these. They're broken up. For instance, mine, I have to wait till after AIT, which for me is in 2 years after I join the Army. If your AIT is only 8 weeks or whatever, then after basic, 8 weeks after that, when you graduate from AIT, you get, I believe, the first half of your bonus. And then you get the next chunks every year after that. So don't expect to get $40,000 right after you graduate from basic. It doesn't happen like that. You get half after AIT and then just chunks from there. So I hope all that made sense. That's kind of what your paycheck's gonna look like, step by step. All those bonuses really add up. So, your base pay might not look like much, and if you were like me, that made me hesitant to join. When I first talked to my recruiter and he said the pay was only $2,100 a month, I was like, I make more than that at the call center. But the Army pay is so much more than the base pay. And I haven't even touched any of the insurance, any of the benefits, any of the retirement. Your pay is more than your base pay, and it does get better over time. But let me know if you have any more questions. Let me know in the comments below. I am planning on making videos weekly. I did get kind of busy the last couple weeks with Pashto, so I do apologize for that, but I'll be making videos weekly, so please subscribe and look out for those. And also let me know what you want to see, because I can answer any questions you have or anything you'd like to talk about, I can talk about. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.